Hello everyone, how's it going? This is AlphaCore HD Gaming and here we are for My Team F1 2021 Career Mode. It feels like an age and it probably has been since we last did a proper career mode. I think it was probably F1 2016 where I tried to do a whole season, but things got in the way and then I tried to do the F1 2020 and now we're at F1 2021 because the game came out, so I thought I'd shift focus to that. So it's been a very long time, but I'm hoping to do a full season for everybody, a full series. And here we are just making our team. So we've got the number 23 back, which on last season's game we couldn't have because Alex Albon had it. We're calling the team Monarch Motorsport. Our primary sponsor is going to be the one that takes in the most 25 constructors points, but it also gives you the biggest goal bonus and the biggest weekly income, so it's worth having because it's the biggest amount of money that you get through the team throughout the season, even though it's a little bit more difficult. Engine wise, the Renault engine is cheaper obviously, but you can see its performance is lower, its durability is better than a couple of the other ones, but we're picking Mercedes because of the power and durability. And in terms of teammates, we're going to pick Nobuharu Matsushita. He's got good focus, 82, he's got good pace, 75, good awareness, 65, race pace, 62, experience, 32, so not so much there, but there wasn't a lot in terms of contract costs, so we basically went with Nobuharu. He seems like a good fit for the team. Now we go to the team headquarters where Will Buxton does a little bit of an introduction between of our team with our driver and the owner, so I'll leave it for a little bit and let Will take over, then I'll get back to you.
Hello folks, and welcome to this, a very special edition of Paddock Pass. As you can see, there's no pit lane behind me, and as you can hear, no roar of engines, and that's because they've set me free from the F1 paddock to escape here to the countryside and to the headquarters of Formula One's newest team. Now, it's not every day we get to pull back the curtain and look behind the scenes at an F1 team. Rarer still that we get to talk not only to the team owner, but also the team's lead driver. But what makes this place extra special is that the owner and lead driver are one and the same person. Now, it's been an interesting 12 months, and we all know a number of the regulation changes which were due to come into effect this year have been delayed until next. Some, though, are still seeing the light of day, amongst them the all-important budget cap, which gives some of the smaller teams a little further down the order, potentially, the opportunity to compete with the bigger teams. Good for them, but great for us as viewers. But what does our new team owner think about these new rules? Do they see them as a challenge, a hurdle that needs to be overcome? Perhaps they see them as an opportunity to disrupt the status quo, a chance to come out swinging and to carve their name into Formula One history. Well, I had the opportunity to ask them these very questions just earlier today, and here's what they had to say. Well, first of all, thanks so much for inviting us here today. It's been wonderful to see behind the scenes. As you might expect, I've got about a million questions, so let's jump straight in. It's been a long time since we last saw a team owner take their own car onto the track, and the sport's changed enormously in the intervening. Let's talk about your teammate. Now, it's clear they're excited to have signed with you, so you've obviously been putting a lot of work into the car. I know it's early days, but most of the other teams can boast years of experience in Formula One. Where do you see the opportunities to make those vital performance gains you need to put you within reach of the other cars? Ultimately, your success this season is going to come down to whether you can take positions from the other drivers. And finally, with so many specialist departments working... Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been wonderful to get an insight from you and, of course, to see around the headquarters. Thank you for today. Really appreciate it. And thank you all at home for watching as well. We'll see you very soon.
So you might have noticed there that I was here on this screen basically buying the perks to get extra driver acclaim and extra resource point income there. But you may have noticed on when I was answering the questions, I was deliberately answering the ones with that would boost the chassis and the aerodynamics department's morale, because I noticed, well, I thought the car was going to be pretty good in terms of power wise because of the Mercedes engine, and durability wise it wasn't really an issue for the first few races of the season, so I wanted to focus heavily on the aerodynamics and on the chassis, so that's what I was focusing on with the questions when I was answering them. I also noticed in the background there was the car was covered up in that. I'd never seen that before. Even watching other people's videos, I'd never noticed that before, but I noticed that now, and you see it in the background of our screen anyway. So we've basically done the activities there where we've put a bit of activities on to get some resource points and a bit of driver training, I think. We'll go into the car reveal now. As you can see in the background there, we bought a couple of upgrades to the car. We'll see how they go. The car reveal, I was kind of inspired by, because we're going with Mercedes engine to sort of a Patronus livery, and also all the other teams on the grid have picked all the other colours apart from, like, you know, we've got blue, we've got orange, we've got red for Ferrari, we've got black for Mercedes, we've got green for Aston Martin. A lot of the colours were already taken, yellow for Renault. So I went with sort of this Patronus livery, and you can see the parts there have actually been successful. So that's an upgrade. That you can see the rear wing main plane has been completed. That's the tyre allocation, and this is just the intro scene to practice 1. And then I think after this we go to a little interview with Claire, who asks us some more questions. So it's just going to be a little bit of scenery of Bahrain here. Antonio Giovinazzi there in this car.
Good day today. Let's have your take on it. It looks like you've really been focusing on research.
So again, I'm still focusing on the aero and the chassis questions. Try and get the morale of that up, so we get less chance of a failure.
Are you testing new components?
So that affects my acclaim. I think there wasn't any other ones to do for the chassis.
Great.
So we went with that one, and we went with the other question. So there's the resource points we've gained, 660. A total now of 1935. We've also, because we did all the practice programs, we managed to get these little boosts on the, which means that things are going to be a little bit cheaper later on. So when we buy these upgrades, they're going to be a little bit cheaper. I also forgot to mention we're going with 105 AI because I felt that was the most balanced. Obviously 110 is going to be more difficult, but 105 is kind of where I'm at with this game right now, so it gives us some nice close racing and allows us to kind of compete with the AI. Because you can see in the background a few of those development things. We are, according to like the total development, we're quite close to Alpine, but we're not, because the aerodynamics of our car are more like the ones on the Williams and the Haas. It's really low down there. So now we're going to qualifying, and I'm going to let the tape roll with basically us leaving the pit lane, just to get the feel of the car leaving for the first time. We were actually under a lot of pressure. This is Q1, and our lap time was a 126.551 at the moment, but everyone else improving towards the end of the session would mean that we would really struggle to get through Q1. So we went out and we did quite a pacey out lap because we wanted to get the tyres up to temperature, and also the fuel mix, we had like 3.6 laps on board, so I wanted to burn a little bit of that off. You see there I'm focusing on the tyre temps, making sure that they're well up to temperature so that we don't have when we get into the actual flying lap we're not struggling. So we came out, we're going through the first sector right now. Engine's pretty warm already. I think that's a thing in the game this year where the engine's got to be warmed up rather than being too hot. It can be too hot, but it's also going to be warmed up because otherwise it won't give you the performance. So you can see the components there that just flashed up. They're kind of a little bit 10% worn, some of them as well already. So because we've done quite a lot of practice to get the laps in. I mean, in terms of setup wise, it's a compromise at the moment. Obviously, we've got the car that we've got for the first rounds of the season, which said it's very, very poor on downforce, and also it's got very quite a lot of drag down the straights. So it's a bit of a problem in terms of competing with the other guys around us at the moment in terms of the performance of the car. So we're going to hope to get some more upgrades on board in the next couple of rounds and try and get the car up to speed. Setup wise, I tried quite a lot of things, and this was the best I could come up with. So we're starting our flying lap for the last time in Q1. You see we're already a little bit down with our exit from the final corner, so we must have been quicker on the first lap. So 100 metres board, we're slamming the brakes on, down to second gear. trying to control the cars sliding through these corners, trying to get like just up the hill towards the turn 4, and just make sure you don't lose too much time, maybe gain a little bit. All the way down to 3rd gear, trying to hug inside the apex, let the car run out wide, trying not to spin out, and then you've got to control it through the middle sector. Got to brake. If you go deep here, you can lose up to half a second. It's really a place where you can lose a lot of time on this track around the middle sector. Same with the next corner. If you get these both wrong together, you can lose about half a second. So getting the middle sector right is really important. As is getting an exit on this back straight. So you can see we're actually still nearly a 10th down, but on the previous lap we made quite an error in this sector here, so we can gain a bit of time back now by getting a good exit. As you'll see, the delta starts going positive. It's a pretty tidy lap, but it's nothing special. You see, we hover between a 10th and 2 tenths up, and then towards the final corner we lose a little bit more time. So I think we end up just being just less than a 10th up on our previous time, which we'll see if it's good enough any second now. So we crossed the line with a 126.450, which is 1.101 up. So you can see in terms of time, when it lets me take control, that we actually did make it through. And I think we made it through at the expense of our teammate. So yeah, we just squeezed through ahead of Nobuharu. So Q2, we're entering our final lap of the session now. There's actually not very long left. You see our banker lap was pretty poor. I think it was on a set of used tyres, so we did a 126.833. And we're going to be looking to improve that quite substantially throughout this lap. So already, despite clouting the curb at turn 1, we found a little bit of time, nearly half a tenth, coming down to turn 4. Found a little bit more time coming to the middle sector as well, so we're up at the moment. And we take a nice line through this next set of corners, and we get the braking right. So you can see with the exit as well, we're over 3 tenths up now, coming to the most difficult corner of the track. And again, we make a good exit, so we found some more time there. We're 3.5 tenths up now. You got to hug that inside curb there, make sure you get turned in, but we ran wide, which loses a little bit of time. So there is more time on this lap, and we could have found more, but we made a little bit of an error coming into that corner. We were almost half a second up at that point there, coming into that corner there. And coming into the final corner, make sure you get the car straightened up. Do not run wide, because that's going to lose you time. We just stayed just inside the bounds. We're at half a second up, and it's going to cut to Mick Schumacher, not Michael. He's going to be completing his lap, because I think he was our rival in this session. He was one of the cars that could have knocked us out, or could have knocked us further down. So we're scrolling down now, and you'll see that Schumacher wasn't very close to us. I mean, even if we'd found a couple of more tenths, it would have probably put us just closer to Pierre Gasly, but we wouldn't have been able to beat him. So that's our team acclaim. Obviously, Nobuharu went out in Q1. I don't know where the engineer expects us to be, because we did quite well, to be honest. I think, considering where the car is right now, to be in the position we were at the end of qualifying, I think that was a good result. So we're heading off to race day now, and there's going to be a little bit of an introduction to the race.
We go racing today around 3.36 miles of the magnificent Bahrain International Circuit.
I think the goal here just has to be, I want to at least hold my position where the cars around me, and maybe try and get into the points. But where we're at with downforce, it's going to be very, very tricky. So you get a little interesting fact that Bahrain's name derives from the duel of the two seas in Arabic.
Everyone's a little bit nervous about
There's Sebastian Vettel in his Aston Martin. First time we see him this season in the green colours. And then we've got us in our Petronas green colour there. You can see us reading our tablet, seeing what's going on.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton.
So there's the grid order. You got Lewis on pole with a 124.443. He's a tenth and a half ahead of Valtteri.
We have Perez,
Perez further 3 tenths back with Verstappen, then the two McLarens, then Vettel and Leclerc, Stroll and Carlos Sainz, then Alonso with his Alpine, and there we are, 1.8 seconds down on the actual qualifying time for pole position, and then Nobuharu is 2 seconds down. I'm surprised that Mazepin is ahead of Latifi, but I think the Haas is a little bit overpowered in this game at the moment. They're probably going to have to nerf it.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
So in terms of tyre strategy, we can see there we've gone with 2 sets of soft and then the mediums, and this is the setup. So 6/9 wings, then transmission, then obviously suspension, everything like that going through them. Again, I tried a lot of things, so lowering the tyre pressure and all sorts of things like that, but that's where we are. So 5 lights and we're away. We make a pretty decent start and get sort of pulling along a little bit, but Alonso also makes a start, and so do some of the other guys alongside us. So we're going to just stick our nose in a little bit into the first corner. We do look like we've got enough space at the moment, but then we sort of get pushed across the track by Norris and a couple of other guys. We just about stay in the track, and we're ahead of Norris. We're still getting battled from behind. Norris is trying to go on the outside at the moment, so we have to outbrake him, which sends us a little bit deep. And then Norris, you can see on our right wing mirror, is trying to fight back again. So now we're just behind Leclerc. There's a little train in front of us. I think Hamilton's already pulled away. But we now move to lap number 2, where DRS has been enabled. We've managed to just about cling on to Charles Leclerc.
And in the DRS zone.
And this is pretty much where we're at for the first stint. We're just trying to fight off the guys behind us and use the DRS to kind of keep up with Charles Leclerc ahead of us. Obviously, it's a lot of time per lap to be in the DRS. If we drop out of it, I think we lose more than half a second, because you've got guys behind us that are...
We've got a great chance of taking the position. Come on, we know you can do it.
Our engineer is really optimistic at this point that we can catch up to Charles. I mean, we can, but if we pass him, then he's just going to be all over the back of us, and it's going to cost us even more time. So it's a more sensible idea to sit behind him and use his slipstream in DRS. You can see by lap 5 we're almost out of battery power already, because we're having to use so much battery. The engineer goes from telling us that we can overtake Charles to that we're losing time to the guy behind, Vettel. So it's really, mixed messages from the engineer at this point. So moving on to lap 7, you can see we've got we're using a lot of DRS again, just to cling on to Leclerc. You can see even with DRS we're only gaining like 2 tenths, so it just shows how much drag we've got at the moment.
There's been an incident on track resulting in loose debris. Fortunately, the marshals have managed to clear it up in time, and there are no plans for a safety car right now.
So something's happened on track. We don't know what, because we only got the message that there was debris, but there's nothing else to tell us what it was. But apparently that's been cleaned up.
Be aware, we expect the grip levels to start falling away soon.
Yeah, so in terms of tyre wear, we've got 2 sets of soft tyres for the first 2 stints. The second set's a used set of about 10%, where Charles just go in the pit there, so it's going to clear us for P4, I think that is. So about 10% wear on the second set that we're going to put on, because we had to use some extra sets in qualifying, but it just allows us to keep pace with the guys in front, because if we go on the soft tyres we just can't fire them up, and we also just don't have the grip. So in total terms of like choice of tyre, it's better for us to go onto the soft twice and then use the mediums at the end. But if we were to use the mediums, we'd really be struggling in the middle stint with the guys that use the against the guys also use the mediums.
13.8 seconds.
So we are dropping back quite a bit to Mercedes, who look like they've turned up the ERS a little bit. Because in terms of engine modes this year, you're not allowed to change your engine mode by the look of it on the game. I think that mirrors the rules in real life. You're only allowed to use your ERS. You can't turn your ERS off. You can just have the medium or overtake setting. So you just got to manage that as best you can. Which means that obviously we want to do some research and development on the ERS system as well to make sure that's efficient as possible. Coming at this turn, Vettel makes a little bit of a dive bomb very late, and we've already committed to the apex and we make contact, which doesn't really hurt our race, but it may have caused some damage to Vettel's car, so we're okay, but it's made Vettel drop back a little bit. We're not coming in till lap 17, I don't think, so we're trying to keep out for as long as possible on these tyres and stretch them out so we don't have to be on the mediums for so long. Tyre wear was very
Gap to teammate
was very
behind
low,
is
so
14.0 seconds.
So at this point we're 14 seconds ahead of Nobuharu, who's on the same strategy. He actually tries to undercut us.
We're boxing this lap.
And I think
Give us the best
he
in
gains a
lap he
couple
can.
of.
The gap behind us is 2.5 seconds.
And I think he gains a little bit of time from his
seconds.
undercuts, so he does come back at us a little bit. But yeah, in terms of setup wise, I think that we're probably
Nobuharu is coming in for his stop.
Nobuharu in the pits, so we can probably go a little bit more aggressive on setup wise, because the tyre wear was very low, so we can compromise a little bit on there. Increase our tyre wear, hopefully try and get a little bit more grip, a little bit more heat in the tyres. You can see there, even after 17 laps on the soft tyres, with our highest wear was 62%, which is still quite low for the amount of laps we've done on these tyres and the pace we were running at to try and keep up with the Ferrari. So pit stop done, we're coming out.
We'll be doing one more stop today. One stop left in our
And
strategy.
we've fed into the traffic just behind Yuki Tsunoda, so we're still kind of with the midfield pack, which is good news. The next part of this stint was basically because we put the soft tyres on, we were trying to keep up with Tsunoda and Norris, but you'll see that Gasly just had absolutely no chill, and he was attacking us the whole time.
Okay, you're in the top
He at least
10.
cost us more than half a second every lap that he was attacking, which there was
Gap to car in front is 2.0
the purple
seconds.
third sector there. We were catching by more than half a second some laps,
We're leading our teammate by 10.
and then Gasly started attacking us, which meant we lost that time back. So we probably, without Gasly there, could have attacked Tsunoda and Norris and got closer to them,
Keep pushing. You're gaining on the car ahead.
which may have made our race at the end a little bit easier, but it is what it is. Gasly, like you see there, up the inside, so we have to fight him off. We have to brake late and go on the outside. We also have to squeeze him out on the exit and just hang on to the position. So he's still trying. I mean, it's just the straight line speed of the AI at the moment. It's in this first race, it's
clear.
they've got so much more straight line speed than us, and that's probably because we've had to increase the rear wing as well to 9 to just get the turning on the corners in the middle sector as well. So again, you see he starts nearly half a second back. We have to cover the inside because he's on top of us again in the first turn. We run a little bit deep trying to block him off, but we keep the job. And obviously because he was ahead of us, we got the DRS on the second straight, which is allow us to defend a little bit easier. So again, he's nearly 6/10ths back at the moment. Look at that delta coming
You're losing
down.
a small amount of time to the car behind. Keep pushing.
You can just see him closing in. We have to go defensive again, and by the time he gets to the braking zone, he's wheel to wheel with us. But again, we managed to just about keep the position.
Nobuharu's dropped out of the race.
So our teammate has retired. It looks like some sort of engine problem. So our first race and our first retirement for the team, which isn't a good start, and it just takes away any chance we have of getting extra constructors points. I'm not sure Nobuharu had the pace, but it just takes away that opportunity altogether. So we're on to lap 29, and Gasly
We're approaching the
has
pit window.
come
You'll be on the medium.
half a second still, so you can see we're going defensive because we've got no ERS left again, and we have to defend. We just have to use the ERS to keep the speed up with the AI in the straights at the moment. So Gasly flies past on lap 31, but we brake and go deep, and he tries to switch back. We have to squeeze him out again, and we're still ahead just about. Now we're going defensive because he's coming at us again down this straight. I half thought he was going to attack us at turn 4 as well, but he didn't in the end.
Gap ahead is 5.1 seconds.
Our engineers' communications tended to be throughout this race just telling me gaps, which was a bit uninteresting really. I mean, he was trying to tell me all the time the gaps of the cars in front, the gaps of the car behind. So you can see there we let Gasly through onto the back straight. On the back straight we let him through in the final corner so we could add the DRS on him.
Pit window open.
And
Let's box this
just
lap.
try and get back at him. So it's a little bit of a tactical move there to let him go through and then us to come back and attack him and take the position back, which allowed us to prevent being attacked by Alonso. So we're back in front, and lap 32 we're pitting in. So that's our final stop of the race. That's unless there's any safety cars or anything like that happens, or any damage and we have to come back in, any punctures. Pretty quick pit stop, 2.3 seconds. And as we come out the pit lane, you'll see that Sebastian Vettel actually has pulled off the undercut, and he just squeezes past us as we come out the pit exit. We do try to keep up with him, but unfortunately we just don't have the pace. Middle sectors where it is, it's all where the downforce is, we can't keep up with him there, as well as on the straight. So obviously we use a lot of VRS to keep up with him on the straight, but then middle sector we just can't keep up with him through the high speed corners either. So he pulls away about half a second a lap, and by lap 35 he's 2.7 seconds ahead.
We're starting to catch the car
and we
in
just
front,
don't
but
have
we need to
the
look after
pace
the
to keep up with
tyres.
him.
We won't be making another pit stop.
You'll see there we just went past Daniel Ricciardo, who was in the pit lane. He plays a little bit of a part in the next few laps. You can see he's come out the pit, he's already 2 seconds behind us, and
the gap to the car ahead is 7.4
some more guys
seconds.
in the pits on the right there. I think Alonso and Sainz, who just passed in the pit lane. You can see here Ricciardo by lap 38 is only 6 tenths behind us, and we're coming down to turn 1. We don't go defensive just yet, I don't think, because I don't think he's close enough. But we're actually back into the points at this stage. We're in 10th place. See, we're going down this towards turn 4, and you've got Ricciardo on our outside attacking us. We have to defend for our lives and squeeze him out over the side of the track. He does back out of it though before we get to that point. We try the same trick that we did with Gasly and let Ricciardo through to use his DRS. You can see Sainz is now catching us, so we were kind of aware of that, so we decided to let Ricciardo go through, and it does work this time round. We're able to just come back at him on the brakes and take the position back, and he's unable to do the switch back on us, so he remains in 11th place. But by the time we get to lap 40 though, we've got absolutely nothing, and Ricciardo mugs us on the inside. He takes us on the inside of turn 1, which is kind of significant there because we're unable to get on the power. But despite having the DRS, we just haven't got the speed or the traction to keep up with him. On the same set of tyres, the McLaren is just far too quick for us at this stage of the season. We're going ultra defensive already because Sainz is about to fly past us on the left hand side, as you can see. We slam the brakes on and Sainz just turns in on us. It's a bit of a dive bomb by us, but Sainz turns in, and I think he may have damaged his wing. You see we're checking our display now to see if we got damage. We don't, which is fortunate for us, but I think Sainz may have just chipped a little bit off his wing. So lap 42, Lewis Hamilton actually retires from the session. You'll see now it looks again like another engine failure. So 2 Mercedes engine failures in one race, which should be concerning for us a little bit. Hopefully we'll be able to make it to the end though. Toto Wolff's going to be on the pit wall doing his best Christian Horner impression, just tapping his foot away. So there's Lewis retiring. He was in with the back marks. You see there's Red Bulls there as well, but he's pulled alongside the track and retired. So now we've got
You've lost some time to the car behind.
So the engineer telling us we're losing time to the car behind just as Alonso comes flying past us. Thanks for that, Jeff. Again, we just managed to keep on the brakes, and because we were behind coming into the DRS zone, we've actually got DRS. On to lap 44. Same story again, defending from Alonso, keeping to the right, pushing him to the outside. Again, late on the brakes, trying to keep him behind, just keeping him there, just getting the job done. This went on for many laps as we got towards the end of the race. Alonso now tries the inside like Daniel Ricciardo, mugs us there, but this time we've learned from our lesson with Daniel, and we make sure we brake a little bit deeper and squeeze him out on the exit and get the DRS to boot. So lap 50, the same story again. Alonso coming around the outside, just managing to fight him off. Lap 51, Alonso comes again. Again we show him the outside, again we're going to be able to outbrake him. We've now got Valtteri Bottas closing on us for blue flags.
No tyre concerns at the moment, just focus on the driving.
I mean, these tyres could have gone a lot longer, they could have gone a lot deeper in the race.
Blue flag, blue
so
flag.
So Valtteri finally catches up to us, but the way he passes us isn't ideal at all. So we see that he gets Alonso, but then I think because he's got so much power down the straight that he's going to be able to breeze past us, but for some reason he really struggles, and we're not even using our overtake button, and we let him up the inside. But instead of giving us room, he tries to nearly wipe our front wing out, which then gets Alonso interested, who into the high-speed right-hander thinks better of it, and we manage to keep the position. You see there he's all over us in our wing mirrors at the moment. So coming to lap 53, it's probably going to be the same story again, although that's us setting the fastest lap of the race for ourselves. You see that's with the benefit of Bottas in front of us giving us DRS on these set of tyres. It's worth like more than half a second. We run wide into turn 4, giving Alonso some hope to make an attack, but again he realises he thinks better of it as we cut him up. We slice across his front wing. Lap 55, we run deep on the final turn, so it's putting us under pressure down the straight. You see Alonso's only 2.5 tenths behind. It's going to have to be the mother of all dive bombs on lap 56 to make sure that we don't lose this position. And for the first time Alonso makes contact with us, similar to the Sainz one. Previous to that he hadn't actually turned in on us, but that time he did. You see we're only like 40% tyre wear. We're just checking our front wing for damage there. So into the final lap, we are in control at the moment. We still managed to keep Alonso behind us. We're going to be on for a point, but the first sector we're already a second down, just fighting with Alonso. So it's just a case of getting to the end of the lap and making sure he's still behind us and taking that first point. So the most difficult corner on the track there, make sure you get down to second, make sure you get a good exit onto this straight. Make sure you scrub off enough speed for this one and get your fourth gear, and then get on the power as early as you can without sliding out to the right hand side. On a full tank of fuel at the start of the race you can't get through this corner at full throttle with this car, but towards the end of the race it was a bit easier. A nice tricky technical section, that one back there. So down the back straight, one more corner to go. Valtteri Bottas takes the win, Lewis Hamilton retires. I think Perez and Verstappen are on the podium. We're heading towards the finish line. It's as good as a victory this, because we've got 10th place. Fireworks going off.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
A great result. There goes Alonso and Gasly flying past us at the last second. Norris claims driver of the day. He had quite a quiet race to start with. I mean, he pitted early. I don't know what was going on. But he dropped right to the back of the field. Obviously got a bit of clear air, and then came through the field and finished in a good position along with Daniel Ricciardo. So just showing the McLaren's pace. There's Valtteri celebrating. And there's Ben Daly. I don't know who else is there. I can't see if any of the other YouTubers are in there, but Ben's in there for definite.
Execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
So we should see the podium now of the drivers on the steps. So you see you've got Valtteri, then you've got Sergio, then you've got Max. So it's a pretty decent start to the season. 10th place, 1 point. We'll be back for the next episode soon. I'm hoping to kind of do the recording the back end of this week and then get something out next week. I do hope to be more consistent with these videos and try and get us some more videos out and It's a really exciting season for me, this one, on this game. I think this is probably the best game we've had so far for the series, and you know, it's this game I'm really enjoying at the moment. There's going to be a lot of good upgrades to the car next race, I think, as well, so we'll see how that goes. But obviously, if you like the video, just give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, so you see all the new content, and I'll catch you all later. Thank you for watching. You're absolute legends. Bye.
After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.